All right, how's it going, everybody? This is your main man, Scott McKay, coming at you again with another episode of the Mountaintop Podcast. You can find me all over social media and now on Substack as well at Scott McKay, along with on X, on True Social, on YouTube, and on TikTok at Real Scott McKay, of course, on Instagram. Guys, if you're not a part of the Mountaintop Summit on Facebook yet, you really should get over there because we're having a whole lot of fun in some unexpected ways, actually. And of course, if you haven't been to mountaintoppodcast.com, hey, that's where all the action is. That's where all the free goodies are you can download. All things Mountaintop Podcast can be found at mountaintoppodcast.com. With me today is a new friend of mine. She comes from Boise, Idaho. Her name's Monica Tanner, and she is a relationship coach extraordinaire. And she is the author of a book called Bad Marriage Advice, which you can find on Amazon if you go to mountaintoppodcast.com/Amazon, right there at the top of my Amazon influencer queue, which is a fancy douchey way of saying a dedicated storefront that I have on Amazon. And if you're listening within the first few days of this episode's release, you will find Monica's wonderful, illustrious book right there at the top of the queue. Her name indeed is Monica Tanner from Boise, Idaho. Monica, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much. I'm so excited to be here with you today.
Yeah, we're all shiny and happy, and we're talking about what is on paper, at least, a terrible topic, which is bad relationship advice. What would inspire you to write a book on that subject? You just having a little bit of fun, wanting to ruin your whole mood, or what? What happened there?
Well, interestingly enough, my oldest son just got married. He actually got married on my 23rd wedding anniversary, and he's very young. He and his wife are both 21. And so when he told me that he was getting married, I sat down to write him like a love letter that comes from my 23 years of marriage experience, as well as all of the couples that I've worked with throughout the years. And this little love letter with a little bit of advice for him turned into an entire book. And what I realized is that early in my husband and I's marriage, we got a lot of well-meaning but bad marriage advice that kind of made things a little more difficult for us. So I kind of set out to debunk some of these crazy myths about marriage that I think probably worked fine decades ago in earlier versions of marriage, but in our new modern society with all of the comforts of life that we enjoy, I just think that it's a little bit outdated and it's a little bit harmful to a healthy, thriving, romantic marriage?
Well, first of all, I think any kid, 21 years old, especially, is probably going to have a bias, a cognitive bias that says any relationship advice I get from my own mom is going to be terrible. Matter of fact, I actually tell these guys, don't take relationship advice from your mom because she'll tell you to be a nice boy and be real polite and wear a bow tie and bring flowers and candy and all these things that make women go, oh God, this guy can't provide or protect. But you're a professional relationship advice, so I'm sure the advice you're giving him is much better. Yet the title of the book persists. It's still kind of the elephant in the room here. The name of the book is Bad Marriage Advice, and this is what you gave to your 21-year-old son. By the way, before we get into that, what does your daughter-in-law think of having to share an anniversary with the in-laws?
I don't know, actually. I don't know that she weighed
up?
in, but she did choose the date, so.
Well, she chose the date and she chose your son, so those are two good things going for them already. So, but why the title if you're giving a love letter to your son? Is it an ironic title, or is it just, hey, here's what to watch out for? Don't listen to these people who say this.
Right. Here's what to watch out for. Because when you get married, lots of people want to give you advice. And a lot of it sounds really good and reasonable and romantic, and why not? Until you're married for any length of time and you realize, oh, a lot of this is not great advice. Like, it's not a good thing to build a foundation of your relationship on. So not only do I point out what the bad marriage advice is, but I give you ways to do it better or skills that will help you not depend on the bad marriage advice.
I see. So it's kind of like the book 48 Laws of Power. You'd be a real douchebag jerk if you actually did these things in this book. So don't do any of these things in this book if you want to be a good, common, decent person. But watch out for the flaming narcissists and jerkwads who do this stuff, because they're out to get you. So this is kind of like what did B.F. Skinner call it? Negative reinforcement.
Right.
This
It's
is the
not,
stuff not to do, right?
yes, it's
Yeah.
not that dramatic. But yes, I hope that people will look at it twice and be like, oh, what's bad marriage advice?
No electric shocks or anything if you don't, if you take the treat at the wrong time.
Right.
We'll leave that for his new wife. She can do that.
Yeah.
All right. So give us some examples of, for the rest of us, for the benefit of the rest of us, what are some things that you and I and the rest of us listening should stay away from when it comes to relationship advice?
Sure. So here's a cliche that you hear all the time. I see it on social media all the time. It's this idea of a happy wife, happy life. I
Uh,
think that's a horrible premise for a, you know, relationship where you have only one partner who's getting what they want, right?
happy wife, miserable husband. That's the,
Right,
okay.
exactly. That's the other part of that, right? But you hear it all the time. I see all the time on social media. I'll be scrolling through and I'll see, some young kid with a microphone and he'll be like finding couples on the street and he'll be like, "What's your best advice for staying happily married?" And the guy will always look over and be like, "She's the boss. She wears the pants. As long as she's happy, everything's okay," right? And that is the worst advice.
That seems like the politically correct thing to say for some reason.
Sure. And it
That
seems
just
so
makes us look like
romantic,
simps.
especially
Yeah.
to the woman, right? The woman's like, "Oh, yes, of course. I'm always right." But it's actually a lot of responsibility and a terrible way to create a loving, thriving, healthy
That's your
relationship.
daughter-in-law texting you right now.
It's actually my reminder that I have a session.
Oh, okay. Well, we'll have to hurry up then. We don't want to leave them waiting. Or is that the half an hour mark?
That's a half an hour mark.
Oh, okay. We got plenty of time then. Good grief. We're laughing. All right. So yeah, I mean, it seems like there's a lot of, there are a lot of old wives' tales, aren't there, about dating and relationships that really are just flat out wrong. And you've given a good example already. What are some others?
Another one that really, I think, affects a lot of marriages negatively is this idea that divorce is not an option. We don't talk about divorce. We don't even say the D word. I think that really hampers a marriage where you're both choosing to be in, because if you just set the premise that divorce is not an option, then what motivation does either partner have to, make themselves better or more appealing or work on the relationship because you're locked in? So
Well, singlehood would do that. See, so what you're saying is the best advice for someone to be happy in a relationship is get divorced.
no.
I've seen that before in men's groups before, just not get married at all.
Oh,
I
no,
sense
yeah.
that's
No,
not
that's
what you're
terrible.
saying.
But no, what I'm saying is that you want to create a marriage that both partners choose to be in, not one that you're obligated to stay in, right? So you both have motivation to grow and change and evolve and, work on the relationship. But if divorce is not an option, why would I show up and work on the relationship? Because you're not going anywhere. You're stuck with me.
Yeah, that's right. The way you're putting that is a little crafty. I think I know where you're getting at that. I think if couples glibly threaten divorce at each other, like kind of weaponize the term, the D word with each other, I don't think they have a serious marriage.
Right.
In other words, if you do that again, I want a divorce. Well, I want a divorce too. I don't love you anymore. Well, I don't love you anymore either. And then they wake up the next day and go, "I'm so sorry. I didn't mean anything that I just said." But my wife and I don't ever joke like that. My wife and
Right.
I don't ever get married. And even, I mean, we did get married, but we don't ever find ourselves married and then wish we weren't and say to each other, I don't want to be with you anymore. I don't love you anymore. I want a divorce. And then decide, I was only kidding, like the old Morrissey song, the Smith song, Big Mouth Strikes Again,
Yeah.
by
Well,
rights,
that's
I
good.
should bash every tooth in your head. We just don't talk like that as a couple. And I don't think healthy couples do. Just like healthy siblings don't say, "I wish you'd never been born. I hate you." And when you see them act out like that, like at a grocery store or a softball field or something, a lot of times they're like mimicking their parents. They're modeling their parents, aren't they? They learned that at home, maybe,
Sometimes. Yeah,
sometimes.
but that's good that you guys don't threaten each other with divorce, because that's
No,
not healthy either. But I definitely think
or
my
bludgeoning each other in our bed, like Morrissey
sure.
would have suggested.
I do think, well, actually, there's lots of jokes about that, right? That the only
Yeah.
way out is
Hey,
murder.
27 minutes till your appointment.
I'm sorry. Usually I
That's
have
okay.
that turned off. Um, a lot of couples joke that the only way out of this is murder, right? So that's not healthy. But definitely, like my husband and I, we have a regular yearly check-in where we go on a vacation and we talk about what's going well, what's not going well, what can we improve, how can we make this a better marriage
Uh-huh.
for both of us, right? And we both show up and do the work every single time because we know that it's a choice that we choose to be together. He doesn't own me. I have no obligation to stay in the marriage. Like, if it's not a marriage that's working well for both of us, then either of us have permission to leave, right? We're not going to do that because we both work on the marriage. But if we just had a blanket, like obligatory, you can't leave, then what motivation do either of us have to really better ourselves or better the relationship?
That's very interesting. And two things I want to bring up there. First of all, one of those old wives' tales is a marriage is hard work, son
Mhm.
or daughter. I know. I don't believe it.
Hmm.
I don't think a marriage has to be hard work. I think if you're married to the right person and you get each other and you actually like each other and you just didn't get married because you were hot for each other or because it was time to get married, which, man, I bet that's bad relationship advice in your book also. But I'm just kind of loading up all the subtopics here at once. So let me pace myself. Um, my wife and I don't have to work at this marriage. I mean, sometimes we have to do work within the marriage, like, oh, good grief, we have a crisis, we got to attend to it, or, you know, a storm came last night and we got to fix the fence or something. I
Mhm.
mean, we can labor together on things as a team, but there's not an instance where I feel like, man, I've got to do some heavy lifting on this marriage in particular to save it or to make it healthy because it's effortless to be with my wife because we enjoy each other's company and we adore each other. But it seems like people think that's a given, don't they? That
Right.
this is going to have to be hard work to keep this marriage because nobody really wants to be married. It's not a pleasure to be married. It's work to be married.
Well, yeah. I mean, I don't think looking at it like it has to be hard work is also very healthy. But I mean, you're going to have lots and lots of joy, that's for sure. However, you wouldn't want somebody to think that, unless this is easy sailing all the time, I picked the wrong person, right? So, I mean, there are times where, your values clash up against each other, or the different ways in which you were raised, or your coping mechanisms, or something make it
Mm-hmm.
hard for the other person. And so, yeah, you can learn relational skills within the marriage, and that's the hard work, right? It's the hard work is looking at yourself, really healing your old childhood wounds and learning the relational skills to make your marriage a really great environment for both of you. So that is the work. So it's not always so hard for everyone, but you wouldn't want people to think that if we bump up against a challenge or, if we're not getting along, then we must have picked the wrong person, because that certainly isn't the case as well.
No, no, no. And I don't think I'm saying that. I do think that indeed times come along where there's two people and you've got to figure out what to do. Um, how would you feel about the word compromise as relationship advice?
I actually hate that word. And
I
I hear
know
it all the
it's a
time when
loaded
you ask
question.
an older couple, what's your secret? How do you get along for decades? And they'll say, well, you have to learn to compromise. And I actually hate that word with
Mm,
all of my being. I don't think you should ever compromise. But I do think that has evolved over time. I think decades ago, compromise was a very rational way to solve things. However, we have so many resources now when you consider YouTube and ChatGPT and all the different options for how to educate your kids. And there are so many resources we have now that they didn't have access to before. So I honestly don't think there's any reason why you should compromise when you learn the skills of collaboration now.
well, collaboration is a lot better a word than compromise because just consider the usage of the word compromise in other contexts. I mean, if a can of beans is compromised, I'm not serving it with my hot dogs. Okay,
Right.
it's going back to the grocery store for a refund.
Mhm.
If an asset is compromised and the FBI would like to have a word or two with them,
Mhm.
this is not a great word. Yet somehow we treat it like the holy grail of a healthy relationship. Whereas collaboration means you and I are going to work together towards a common goal. Whereas to me, in a relationship, compromise would mean one of us is going to have to give up something so the other can get something.
Or both of you are going to have to give up, right? And
Right.
you're
Yeah.
going to keep score, and there's going to be resentment, and neither of you are really going to get what you want if you both meet in the middle.
Right. Exactly. Well, I mean, what about this situation? We've been watching chick flicks for 2 nights. So tonight on Netflix, I want to watch, an action adventure movie. And the wife goes, exactly, no chance in the world am I going to sit here and watch this movie with you. I'm going into the room and I'm going to read a book. I just
Again,
sat here and watched, all these Billy Crystal and Meg Ryan movies with you for the last 2 nights. I didn't want to watch those, but I was here with you because I like spending time with you.
again,
Right?
I love this example because this is something that couples go through all the time.
It's a real world example. Yeah.
Exactly. And we have so many resources now. Like, back in the 1950s, they didn't have iPads and, picture in picture and, AirPods that you could put. Like, there's so many things that you could do to create a good collaboration in this scenario. But first, and this is the step that most people skip, and that is to think about what about watching a movie together or watching a chick flick is really important to me. So your wife is going to say, think about what about watching a chick flick with you is important to me. And you are going to list out what about watching something else, an adventure, is important to you. And then you're going to look at those lists, and then you're going to go back and you're going to say, what is it about your preference that worries me or is not, exciting to me or whatever. And then you're going to do the same. And now you're going to look at the things that are really important to both of you and the things that are, not as important to both of you. And there's any number of solutions. You could both put AirPods in and snuggle next to each other and both be on separate devices. You could put AirPods in, watch the movie, and she could sit next to you and read a book. I mean, there are hundreds of ways to figure out how to create the scenario where both of you get exactly what you want.
Well, I don't know if I'd call that collaboration, though. To me, that's still a compromise.
I don't think
I'd rather us enjoy it. Well, I would rather us enjoy. My wife says this. I'd rather us enjoy a movie together.
Mm-hmm. So then maybe
but I'm not watching this.
Maybe watching. Well, okay. So how are you going to figure that out? You're going to compromise.
Well, it would have to
She's
be a
either going to watch
compromise, yeah.
something she doesn't want to watch. That's a compromise. Or you're not going to watch it with her, and that would also be a compromise, right?
Well, you know what the big deal is? It isn't so much the genre of the movie, although that's a little bit of it. It's whether one of us has seen it before.
Uh-huh.
Because if one of us has seen it before, then they're going to go, oh, this is the good part that's coming up, and there's going to be this narrative.
Sure.
And I'm going to raise my hand and go, I'm probably the one who's worse in our couple, in our marriage about that. Okay. And I'm also, and unfortunately, my poor son inherited this questionable trait from me. I look for all the flaws and all the things that are wrong with a movie. And I go, oh, that's, they messed up on that one. That is a complete directorial production error. And my wife's like, can we just watch the movie?
Right.
To me, that's, it's a compromise to have to shut up and sit on my hands when a movie comes on and everything's wrong. And all the cars are 1967 cars and the movie took place in 1964 and stuff like that. That's my wife. As much as I love 60s period pieces, partly for that reason, she knows that one's coming.
Mm-hmm.
So
Right.
This isn't so much a collaboration as, or it may not even be a compromise. I'm going to float a third option. What do you think of this? I love you, therefore I want you to be happy tonight. Because you are so cool. You wanted me to be happy the last couple of nights. And I'm, it may not be if mama's ain't happy, everybody's happy, but when you're happy, it makes me happy. Because I adore you and I love you and you're not my adversary, you're my partner. So you mentioned travel. My wife and I have done a whole lot of that. And there's some places she wants to go. And I always say to her, where do you want to go? I'll usually plan these big major, junkets all over the globe and where we're going to go. But I'll always ask her, tell me where we haven't been yet that you would really love to go. And I'll come back and I'll give you a whole plan. And a lot of it will be based on where she wants to go.
Mm-hmm.
My wife likes to spend time laying out on a tropical beach. I think that's a total waste of time. Unless I can go surfing, right? But just laying on a beach doing nothing to me, except for very, very few places in the world of keynote where beaches are actually very exciting. And I would count amongst them, say, Copacabana in Brazil. If you've ever been to the Copacabana beach in Rio de Janeiro, it is an adventure just to be there because people are doing everything all the time. But most places, just the relaxation. My relaxation is an adventure, right?
Mm-hmm.
She's with me 80% of the time on that. So if we go somewhere and we plan all this adventure, I'll work in a few days of, R&R there at some beach somewhere. And she'll thank me for it.
Mm-hmm.
But I can't get out of there soon enough usually.
Yeah.
But
So you're thinking through that really well.
Yeah. But I mean, we'll go places, she'll go places. And then one time for my birthday, she did some research and surprised me with tickets to something that I loved going to and didn't even know was going on where we were traveling to. And today, I just think she's such a genius for figuring that out. But we went and she actually found it interesting also. And some of the things that she loved and I planned for her, I ended up thinking were interesting because, they were cultural and vice versa. So sometimes we can surprise each other with our little plans. To me, it's like, if you go into a relationship, this goes back to the whole transactional relationship thing, and I want you to weigh in on this. If I enter into a relationship with someone based purely on what I'm going to get out of that relationship, and if I have to give them something, that's automatically a compromise. It's just, oh God, you're going to want something too? Well, I didn't bargain for that. I'm supposed to get what I want here. If it's just literally a tit for tat transaction, right? You're going to get 1 + 1 = 2. The most you're ever going to get is what you were hoping to get, what you bargained for. But when couples are there for each other and they do things for each other and they're thinking of each other and they're being considerate, the good advice is that 1 + 1 = 4, 8, or 50. Because you get so much more than you ever even imagined because you have someone looking out for your best interest. You know what I mean?
Absolutely. So I love how you're thinking about all of that and I would put that all under collaboration because when you have two different people that came from two different backgrounds and two different experiences and have two different opinions and preferences and you could look at it like, this is so annoying. They always have a different idea or a different opinion than me. Or you can look at it like, look how blessed we are that we have all of this perspective and all of these different things to consider that we can actually come up with something better together than either of us could have come up with on our own. And
teamwork.
Yeah, teamwork.
Yeah.
And so when you're saying like, she found this thing that would make me really happy and, like I would rather be adventuring and she'll come with me, but like, I'll put in some rest and relaxation days in there as well. That means that in those moments that your priority is to have her really enjoy relaxation of the day, even if that means finding something else to do or, being uncomfortable for a short period of time. That's still a collaboration. You're not giving in, you're actually just prioritizing something a little bit differently. So it's like, she goes on these adventures with me and they're so fun and I enjoy it and we have that time together. And then she's going to want to relax, which is awesome. So my priority is to carve in time for her to be able to relax and I'll find something that I enjoy. So like my husband and I are the same way. He will not just lay on the beach. Like I want to just read a book and spend a lot of time just laying in the sun. So he'll walk, he'll like listen to a book, he'll put in his AirPods and he'll just walk along the beach for as far as he can go. And then he'll go the other way. And then, he'll play in the waves or whatever. And then I'll jump in the waves with him. Right. And so it's great because we spend a lot of time together doing things that we both enjoy, but we also have time to do what we enjoy individually and allow each other the space to do that, right? So that's our collaboration as well.
What's another example of just terrible relationship advice?
I really like the one because I hear it all the time where people say, don't sweat the small stuff. It's very cliche. But where do you think the big stuff comes from? It doesn't start big. It usually starts small. So if we sweat the small stuff, it won't become the big stuff. So I always try to say, let's address the seeds before they become weeds and choke everything out. But there are skillful ways to address the seeds.
Well, give us a few.
Yeah. So, for example, I just used this on a podcast episode. When my husband and I first got
Well, then you
married,
can't use it here. It's old news. I'm
I
kidding.
seriously doubt the listenership will be the same. This is like
Okay.
the other podcast it's called Sex for Saints. So it's women and sexuality. So this will be different.
Well, not too far off. For
So
us, it's more like sex with saints.
yeah. So when my husband and I first got
Or
married,
sex in St. Louis.
mm,
Or maybe sex in St. Martin because she wants to lay out on the beach all the time.
yeah, that sounds great. So
That
when
does
my
sound
husband and
great.
I first got married,
Except there's too much sand. Sex on the beach is overrated. I'll save it for a cocktail.
yeah, it's definitely a bucket list item. You got to do it once.
Yeah, but there's so much sand and wind and
Bring a
pesky
towel.
people. Ugh. Go ahead.
So
I'm the guy saying that.
So when my husband and I first got married, one thing that drove me crazy, it was definitely a small thing, but I hated when he put the toilet paper on the thing and he would make it so the toilet paper would come under. Like
Someone actually does that?
what?
To me, that's like putting the milk in the cereal bowl first, then adding the cereal. Who does that? What sane person, what non-maniac prefers the toilet paper to come under?
Right. I like it to go over.
Well, first of all, you got to use your crappy hands to get it to go under. You can't just grab something and do like that in one nice little fell swoop.
Well, I just
Then
don't
you're
think
getting
he
your
was
crappy
paying
fingers
attention.
all over everything. Blah.
It was kind
Nobody
of a
does that.
crapshoot. Like he wasn't even paying
Literally.
attention. Like he'd either put it, it would
Gross.
either go over or under, but he wasn't paying attention. He'd just throw the roll on the thing.
You know what the most annoying thing in the world is? Not to derail you, but I got to say this.
Sure.
When you use a public bathroom and every single one of the multiple rolls are hidden underneath that thing for no apparent reason, and you're trying to find the end of it and to tear it off, and every time you tear one little piece off, it tears half the side of the roll off because it's all, split down the middle, and you spend all this crappy time trying to get a contiguous sheet of toilet paper out. Wow, why do they do that? And then when you get up, because you have to get leverage, what does it do? It flushes everything, including the seat cover, right behind you. And it's all gone. You have to start all over again. Yeah,
That's
terrible.
annoying.
So why would you want to even recreate anything close to that in your own private bathroom? That just doesn't make any sense to me.
Right.
I see a compromise coming, frankly.
Well, not a compromise, but I did like it was a small thing. Like I can, it's not hard for me to turn the toilet paper roll over when it's the wrong way, right? However,
You know what my wife does? She
What?
doesn't even replace it when it's done.
oh, she just
She'll
waits
finish
for
up
you
the
to
rest.
do it?
Women use 6 times as much toilet paper as men anyway, first of all. So I think women should be in charge of the toilet paper. You know what? If I have to leave the seat down all the time, then she has to replace the toilet paper roll when it's done. Resolved. Fair enough?
Fair enough.
Is that a collaboration or a compromise?
I think that's just something you just came up with that you might want to check with her to make sure she agrees with you.
Well, I mean, I do the seat down all the time. I do my part. But I mean, is that annoying? Is it me or is it, am I onto something? Like if you finish the toilet pole, God, I hope there's not a toilet pole. If you finish the toilet paper roll and it's empty, or worse, you have like that one little bit of toilet paper at the end that's like stuck to itself
Yeah.
around the toilet paper roll, and you're trying to make use of it, even though it's a lost cause because it's all you got, sort of bidetting yourself as an option, waddling over to the sink or something. And don't kid yourself. We've all had to do that. Because the kids will come in and use up all your toilet paper too and not give a rat's behind about it. A rat's crappy behind about it. My wife, at best, will take a fresh roll and put it on the tank.
Yeah.
And I have to look around where is the toilet paper? Like playing Where's Waldo at the worst possible time in your life. Why is it so hard to press this? It's got a spring in the middle. It's spring loaded. Take it out. Take the other one. There's a trash can right there. Bink. Throw it in the trash can. Put the new one on. Over the top, waterfall over the top, right?
Yep.
And spring that thing back into place. It
Yep.
takes seconds of your precious time.
Yeah.
But no, that's too hard. Too
Well,
difficult.
it sounds like you can practice this. Hey, hon.
That's a personal problem, I know.
Yeah.
I know.
Yeah. Well, I'll give you a skill. Hey, hon, I noticed that a lot of times when the roll of toilet paper is finished, that there's a roll on top of the tank, but it doesn't get put on the thing.
Now, see, you're glibly suggesting this as if we've never had this conversation before.
Oh, well, I want to help you.
It's in the hundreds, Monica. It's in the hundreds.
So
it's an aggressive act at this point.
So it's become a big thing because we didn't sweat it when it was a small thing.
Yes, right, exactly.
Right. So if it's still a small thing, we can have this conversation. We can say, hey, it would work better for me if you would just take responsibility for always switching out the toilet paper, right? So that is a skillful way to sweat a small thing before it becomes a big thing. So you're saying now, we've had this conversation a million times and it doesn't ever seem to work. So,
well, it's a cute little mental trick because see, what she doesn't know is if I expire the toilet paper roll, I'll automatically go get a next one and put it in.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, to me, that's obvious.
Right.
So if I say, why don't you do this all the time? What I'm really saying is, do this all the time when it's your problem.
Mm-hmm.
Because you don't realize it. I do it all the time when it's my problem and you don't even notice because, hey, I did it. It's never an issue.
Mm-hmm.
No, it's sneaky. I like that.
Yeah. So you're just going to say something like, I noticed when you're going to the bathroom and the toilet paper runs out, it doesn't get replaced all the time.
Which is a conversation we've had.
And just say, I would really appreciate it if you finish up the toilet paper roll, if you would replace it. Like that would really mean a lot to me.
We're way past Mr. Nice Guy.
Wait, let me give you the secret cheat code phrase that you're going to say.
Okay. This is a woman talking, guys.
Yes.
Here we go.
What can I do to make it easier for you to remember to do that?
Yeah, that's been weaponized in both directions in this household before.
Okay, so we're not going to weaponize it, but maybe she'll say something like, oh, maybe just remind me when I forget. Or she might say, maybe we should put a note on our private bathroom, not the guest bathroom, but on our private bathroom that says, if you're the last one to use the toilet paper, replace the roll, right?
Oh, wait, but hang a little note around her neck like she's a first grader.
Not on her neck.
Hang a toilet paper roll around her neck so she doesn't forget.
Maybe she would say, yeah, there should be some sort of consequence if I forget. Let's do something embarrassing so I don't forget next time.
That might never happen. All right. So that brings us up to another question I do have for you. And time's running short, so maybe this is the last question. I've heard people give the advice that it's healthy for couples to fight.
Mm-hmm.
Do you agree with that?
I agree that fighting is not the problem. It's repairing after the fight. So I can teach couples how to fight really skillfully. And when I say fight, you're going to disagree about things. And some people disagree more passionately than others. And so you could call that a fight. But I can teach you how to fight well. But what I can't teach you how to do is how to engage when you're disengaged. So what happens when couples, when they've fought for a long time and it doesn't go well, or, you know, they ascribe to this happy wife, happy life type advice, then they don't engage, meaning they don't make their opinion known. And so they just immediately fall into resentment. So when a couple is not ever fighting, it means one or both parties has completely withdrawn. And that's very dangerous. So I worry more about couples that come into my office and say, we never fight. I'm like, well, why is that? Is it because you're not making your opinion known? It's because you're not showing up?
That's what I think. I think if you show me a couple who never, ever has any disagreement, I'll show you probably a situation where someone's a control freak and someone is a passive people pleaser.
Mm-hmm.
But they never have any disagreements at all.
Exactly.
As a matter of fact, I think when couples bicker freely, it's a sign of trust.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Like I trust you not to go anywhere. You know, like a divorce is not an option. You and I are going to get cranky or hangry and we're going to have this problem. We're going to hash it out because that's how I feel right now. And this is your turn to be cranky and my turn to go, well, you're being cranky. But we always forgive each other because we trust each other because once again, we know what's going on in each other's head.
Exactly. And trust comes through repair. So every relationship, starting from infant to mother relationships,
Right.
go through a process of harmony, disharmony, and repair. And so the trust and the love and the intimacy and all the good stuff in a relationship is built in the repair. So if you never have an opportunity to repair, you're missing out on a whole lot of good that comes in a relationship.
Well, to me, the word fight is a negative. The word disagreement can be a positive.
Sure. It's any
And
level
that's
of
the difference. Fighting
disharmony.
is vicious. I don't think couples shouldn't be vicious and call each other names
Sure.
and wish ill will and try to hurt each other. I think there's something wrong when that happens.
Sure.
Yeah.
But there's always going to be disharmony. If there's not disharmony, that I worry about, right? But
Yeah, agreed.
you're always
Agreed.
going to go through a process of harmony. So that's just the good stuff. That's when everything's working great and we're getting along and everything's going great. And then there's going to be disharmony. We disagree about something, or we're doing something two different ways, or you just walked in and the toilet paper is not replaced, right? That's disharmony.
Yes.
But the repair, that's where all the gold is in that process of repair. And we learn we can skillfully repair faster and stronger and more effectively when we gain these relational skills.
Well, considering your top of the hour appointment is now waiting for you, I think it's time for us to close this particular show. What do you know? You just gave us a whole bunch of good marriage advice, good relationship advice. And for that, I think we're all grateful. Her name is Monica Tanner. It's right there on the screen. And the name of her book, which isn't right there on the screen, I need to tell you what that is. It's called Bad Marriage Advice. And you can find it on Amazon by going to mountaintoppodcast.com/Amazon. And also when you go to mountaintoppodcast.com/Monica, you will go to badmarriageadvice.com and give us the elevator pitch on what they're going to find there, Monica, when they click.
Yeah. So if you go to badmarriageadvice.com, you're not only going to have the opportunity to purchase the book, but you'll also get 300 date night ideas. And so one of the things that I'm very adamant about is that you should always be dating your spouse. You should make time once a week, 3 hours minimum, to go on a date night. And people say, oh, we fall into the same routine. We do the same stuff over and over and again. I made 300 date night ideas with all levels of adventure, all seasons of the year, and all levels of from free to expensive date nights. So you'll want to download that.
Fantastic stuff. Monica, thank you so much. This has been a lot of fun.
Thank you.
In part because it went down the road of talking about toilet paper.
Yeah. I mean,
yeah.
I've never had such a long conversation about toilet paper, so that was really fun.
Yeah, I don't know what that says about either one of us, but probably more about me. Anyway, a great show, fun stuff, and I'm so glad you joined us. Hope you'll come back again soon.
Thank you, Scott. I would love to.
And guys, if you haven't been to mountaintoppodcast.com lately, go there, get the show notes, download the free book, Sticking Point Solved. Also, get on my calendar to talk about anything you want for 25 minutes. It's free. I want to hear your thoughts about the show. If there's a plan of action we could put together to take you from good to great in your success with women, we'll do that also. While you're there, please visit our 3 longtime illustrious sponsors, including Jocko Willink's company Origin in Maine, Hero Soap, and the Keyport. And when you partake of anything from our 3 fine sponsors, use the coupon code MOUNTAIN10 to get an additional 10% off. All of that and more is there for you, as always, guys, at mountaintoppodcast.com. And until we talk to you again real soon, this is Scott McKay from X and Y Communications in San Antonio, Texas. Be good out there.